Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome everyone to Season 19 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the commentary booth, as always, is Larry McLeod with Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck, bringing you all the best camera angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. Just 2 short weeks ago, our MX-5 racers explored every inch of the wide and fast asphalt of the Hockenheim Ring Stadium section, but tonight we head back to the UK and to the English Midlands. Having originally opened 90 years ago, this 2.5-mile circuit has seen a long and varied history. And while it has changed ownership many times over the past 50 years, its layout has changed very, very little. It's a track that deftly mixes sweeping high-speed corners with tight hairpins ripe for passing. And so tonight we find ourselves amongst the rolling hills of the Donington Park Estate for rounds 6 and 7 of the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. So welcome to the home of Stilton cheese and pork pie, Larry. What are you looking forward to tonight here at Donington?
I'm looking for an exciting race because I love this track. This is just classic, airport runways turned into racetracks kind of a place. And what I love about this place is there's just a lot of high speed. There's just enough elevation change to make it fun, but there's a lot of high speed action around this place. The turn 4 is just going to be amazing to watch cars flying through there. It just tempts you to want to go through there. and a little bit faster each time, but the penalties are pretty high for that. So I think we're looking for a lot of high speed, a lot of side by side, and a lot of great battles as the season's starting to really get underway, and as people really trying to secure some points as the season goes on. Tonight's going to be a great opportunity for some, and maybe a lost opportunity for others.
Yeah, Larry, with tonight being round 6 and 7 in this 9-round series, things are really starting to firm up here. And, you know, and we're going to get to Kevin Ford's track guide here in just a moment, but the one thing that really strikes me in looking at Donington Park, it reminds me of, at least about half of it reminds me of a very fast circuit that we've been to before. And that is Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, with these long sweeping corners. You run downhill, you then have to reverse course and come uphill, and most of it is full throttle. And then, but the big change here are these multiple blind, very, very slow hairpin turns that are right off of, as you mentioned, off of the circuit of a former airfield. When I mentioned the long storied history of Donington Park, although it came into being in the early 30s, it spent a lot of time right during World War II and immediately after World War II as a storage facility and airfield for the British Army Air Force. And it didn't come back into being as a racetrack until many, many years later. But great facility here. And so speaking of which, as long as we're talking about this track a little bit, why don't we hook up with Kevin Ford? He's going to give us our track guide for tonight from the 2.5-mile circuit that is Donington Park.
Welcome, everyone, to beautiful Donington Park, located here in England. We do welcome you to this incredible track, 11 corners, 2.48 miles around this place, one of my favorites of all time. Let's head down the front straightaway here as we notice our pit entry to the left. We have our grandstands to the left as well, a few bleachers to the right as we come across the stripe here and head down towards turn 1, and it is a very tight one, and certainly at the beginning of races here as the field tries to cram their way down into this very narrow turn 1. Coming out of 1, you can really open things up a little bit. We'll come out of turn 2 here and start making our way down the hill into Craner curves. Make our way around turn 3 here. This will take us down to the old hairpin, known as turn 4. A little bit of braking here. You want to get that car to rotate early, right down to the nose of that apex, and then come right back up the hill here, out of the bridge, around turn 5, and then around turn 6 here, the next left-hander. Here, we're going to brush the brake just a little bit, drop that gear down to 3rd, come right up over the crest, track out, plant ourselves up here into this blind entry of turn 8. That is such a hairy corner to get through, really tough to land and get your eyesight where that right tire needs to land. Here we go, heading down the next straightaway here. This will take us to turn 9, the S's. Very fast entry here. Going to throw the car right to the left and come right back to the right. Get a nice launch out of there and head down this very fast downhill section to a hairpin, which is a very heavy braking. Want to get that car to rotate nice and early here. A nice run up the hill. This will bring us right back up to the final corner of turn 11, known as Goddard's, and it is a tight one. Let me tell you, this place is blind coming into this corner. You cannot see that apex at all until you break that crest, let that car rotate, and get right back to throttle as we head up the exit of turn 11. And there you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Donington Park.
All right, well, thanks again to Kevin Ford for our track guide tonight from Donington Park. And my God, Larry, he was tossing that car around during that track guide. And I'll tell you, if we see our MX-5 field here driving their cars side by side the way that Kevin Ford was driving around just on that one hot lap, it's going to be an amazing 30-minute sprint, actually 2 times amazing 30-minute sprints, as we're going to have some great battles here tonight. Now, we are now just about halfway into our 15-minute qualifying session. As we always do here in the Classic Sprint Series, we have what we call a lone qualifying session. The drivers will go out. They will have four flying laps over the course of 15 minutes in order to set the grid for race 1, that is round 6 in the championship, and then we will have a 30-minute race. And then once we have the results of that race, what we're going to do, we're going to flip everything upside down. We're going to invert the top 10 finishers from race 1, and that will set the grid for round number 7, our second 30-minute race of the evening. And as you see here right now, our fastest driver on track is Mike Dam in the number 93 machine. Fast lap currently of a 144.49, and that is, and actually he just lowered it to a 144.336. Mike Hartley, or probably Robert Hartley now, goes up to second fastest, 4/10 back. Travis Schwenke, third fastest, then Chris Thorman, Randall McGrew. Those are your fast drivers in the pro category. You can recognize them. They have the black mirrors on their MX-5s, and you'll see the black classifications on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. Then we've got our open class, where Edgar Sancinelli, currently the fastest driver in that open category, with a fast time of a 145.59. About 34 hundredths of a second over Steve Daniel in the number 96 machine. Then Brennan Horn, third fastest in the class. So Larry, as our drivers are out here qualifying, trying to set that grid for race number 1 tonight, let's take a quick look back a week ago. Probably it's actually 2 weeks ago, as we were at the Hockenheim ring for round 5, where Mitchell Peak, driving the number 56 Esports racer machine, he took the win. Now at Hockenheim ring, it was just a single race, a 60-minute race. So Peak took the overall win. Travis Schwenke in the number 16 Orion racing machine finished in second, with Jordy Fike finishing on the last step of the podium. Greg Mack in the number 2 machine finished just off the podium in fourth, with Randall McGrew in the Genesis SimSport machine finishing in 5th. And if we take a look at the points and how they stand now after 5 rounds, Mitchell Peak in the number 56 Esports racer machine, our currently running second in qualifying right now, is our points leader with 128 points. Schwenke in the Orion Racing entry, second, 7 points back, and then only a single point back from there, we've got John Allen in the Defined Auto Works entry. John currently running 7th fastest in qualifying. He's definitely going to want to move his way up through the order here. Then we've got Mike Dam, our provisional pole sitter, and Greg Mack rounding out the top 5. And if we take a look now at the open class, taking the win, and Larry, he has been very, very strong for a number of weeks now here in the Classic Sprint Series. Brennan Horn, driver of the number 45 Esports racer machine, took the win. And I believe the only, he didn't lead any laps, which not a surprise there, being in the open category. But I think the margin of victory was over 2 seconds over Dean Dibdahl in the ZP Motorsports entry, who finished second. Steve Daniel, who we talked about just a few moments ago, currently running second fastest in qualifying in the open category. He finished third, with Nick Parsono and Greg Brockway finishing just off the podium, 4th and 5th. And if we go and take a look at the points battle right now, we've got Brennan Horn. He is currently your points leader with 130 points. Pretty commanding 12-point advantage right now over Steve Daniel. Then we've got Nick Parsono, another 17 points back. And hold on, because we're going to be talking to Nick Parsono here in just a few moments. He's going to join us before our drivers head out to the grid for tonight's race. Greg Brockway in his Esports racing entry, and Edgar Sancinelli rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, so definitely some points are definitely in play tonight with these 2 different races that are going to be happening. And certainly, as we've seen, it's always going to be fun to watch, see who's in those 9th and 10th versus 11th and 12th spots for the transfer positions as they flip-flop for the second race. But, I want to take note here who's currently leading in this practice or this qualifying session, and they were 1-2 in practice, I believe, as well. And that is Mike Dam and Mitchell Peak, the couple of Canadians here. The Commonwealth of Canada is strong here in this British track. They've come across the way and are definitely having their mark here so far in this field. And for Peak, leading the pro class, this is an opportunity for him to really start to solidify as we go into this home stretch in the points. And for Dam, he could definitely use a good finish here tonight. So it'll be fun to see those couple of Canadians and see how they shoot it out, as they're both coming at it from different ways in terms of their points performances so far. But right now, a strong battle between the two of them here at this wonderful racetrack.
All right, so Larry, it looks like Nicholas Parsono, he's finished up his 4 flying laps, and he's sitting in the green room waiting for it. So why don't we bring in the driver of the number 79 NAP Motorsports entry, and here he comes.
Hey, Nick, good evening, or should I say good morning to you, as I believe you're over in France. Is that correct?
Correct, and I'd like to state I'm innocent.
I will definitely take that under advisement. So yeah, you're in France. It's somewhere around 2 a.m, if I'm not mistaken, over there. What keeps you engaged in a series like this that's clearly not part of your normal time zone?
Well, friends that I have in the league, stuff like that. I guess I'm mental. I don't know.
That has a lot to do. That's why we all tend to do things like this. But I think you're right, though. It is friends in the league. This is definitely one of those leagues that's a lot of friendships, a lot of bonds are created, and it's fun to have those rivalries here in these once-a-week races. But who are your closest allies or friends in this league?
Well, one of them challenged me to say that I didn't speak English and say that in French. I guess I chickened out, but maybe I'll still get bonus points for that. No, I'm just joking. I guess, well, Ryan's pretty cool. Kevin's pretty cool. I don't know, just the general vibe of the drivers in here is nice. The racing's pretty clean, and there's no toxicity. So I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, it's a very clean, well-run league. I think it's probably why a lot of folks kind of stick around for this one. But in your battles right now, we know that I think you're sitting currently fourth. I think you are in the open class points, or third, I would say. Third. I'm corrected. I'm looking at it. But you do have some pressure coming from right near you with Greg and Edgar kind of doing their thing, and looking at the qualifying order right now. Edgar's looking pretty strong tonight with that 145.5. So
that's okay. I'm not worried. I'm just a vulture that picks, spots when people crash, and I just wave goodbye to them when they're on the side of the road, and it's okay. I've always been slow. I race from the back.
Well, you know what? At a track like this, I've run a lot of races over the a couple of years here on this platform and this track, and I'm sure you have as well. And this definitely rewards those who can stay clean, because there are definitely incidents that come with this track. I'm sure you've had your experience as well.
Yes, it's a bit like Mosport. In some places, if you go off, you'll go way out there. So even something that seems a bit innocent, like just dropping a wheel, you can end up coasting off the grass for a while. So,
well, I'm going to let you get into your car and get yourself ready off to the grid. And we wish you the best of luck tonight, or I should say this morning, and looking forward to seeing your performance tonight.
Okay, and next time, challenge for you guys to do the interview in French.
That's a tough challenge. I'll see what I can do.
We've got to learn how to do it in English first, my friend. All right, there you go. That was Nicholas Parsono, driver of the number 79 NAP Motorsports entry, or as we're now calling him, the French Vulture. All right, so there you go. Thanks, Nick, and good luck tonight. All right, so got a couple of updates. It looks as though Rich Dibdahl, that's Dean Dibdahl's father. Now, remember Dean, who finished second at the Hockenheim ring. He's only 15 years old, and unfortunately not going to be joining us because it's a school night. So good luck to Dean on whatever your endeavors are tomorrow, and don't get detention as we get ready here, Larry. And I think we've got the field all gridded up, or getting gridded up for race number 1. So let's run down the starting order.
And it's going to be a short run to the screen. Let's get on through this. So on the pole tonight, the flying Canadian himself from Orion Racing, Mike Dam. On his outside, I know it shows an American flag. He is also Canadian. That's the Esports racer driver Mitchell Peak. Row 2 has got on the inside from Orion Racing, Robert Hartley. And on the outside, another Esports racer, it's Greg Mack. Row 3 on the inside, another Esports racer, Jordy Fike, and he'll be lined up with another Orion Racing driver in Travis Schwenke. Row 4, we've got our first of the D2D Esports drivers. That's Chris Thorman. He'll be alongside Genesis Sim Sports, Randall McGrew. Row 5, you've got on the inside John Allen in the Defined Auto Works outfit. And alongside him, your first of the open class qualifiers, Edgar Sancinelli. On row 6, Steve Daniel from SDK Racing, and alongside him is going to be Jeff Jacobs. On row 7, on the inside, D2D Esports, Bobby Childs. On the outside from Esport Racing, Brennan Horan. On row 8, there we just talked to him. There he is, Nick Parsono. He'll be lined up alongside Greg Brockway, another Esport Racer driver. And on row 9, on the inside from Fruita Sport Racing, Michael Key. He'll be alongside John Casey from 046 Racing. And as we mentioned, young Mr. Dibdahl is going to be studying for his English test tomorrow and won't be joining us tonight. So he's going to miss out on all of our action here at Donington.
All right, and his father just reminded me that Dean is 14, not 15, so it might even be past his bedtime as well. So hopefully he's huddled away in the back of his room watching this tonight. All right, so the pace car now has the field, and bringing them up, as we mentioned, the short pace lap here as they start to make their way down into the back section of this GP course, and as they come on through here, and it's going to be a very short start zone as they come out of the final hairpin here, coming out of Goddard's. Very short. The pole sitter is going to be able to get on the throttle right at that white line and bring the field right on up to start, and we have a green flag now as we've got our pole sitter, Mike Dam. He moves down to the inside. He's covering the number 3 machine of Robert Hartley, who took the last round off. Then we've got Mitchell Peak, who started second, going wide on entry. He's going to go and try to get around Hartley. Cannot get it done as they come into the very first corner here and start to make that long sweeping run down. This is a section that I say is very much like you have at Mosport. And now as they come on through, sitting in 4th position right now, Jordy Fike in the number 09 machine with Schwenke and Greg Mack. John Allen sitting back in 7th. He's already made up 2 positions in that green and black number 101 machine. And then we've got Randall McGrew and Chris Thorman. Currently, Edgar Sancinelli leading the field in the open class with Steve Daniel and Bobby Childs as we're back on board here. And things, I was going to say, starting to straighten out, but already we've got Mitchell Peak and Mike Dam battling it out for position as we come into McLean's, and they're going to start to make that run over towards, and it's going to be a double apex left-hand corner here. Oops, actually, they already came out of Coppice. I'm already a corner behind Larry. So caught up in the action here at the front of the field as Mitchell Peak in the 56 machine. He takes over the lead from our pole sitter, Mike Dam.
Wow, what a great start. Mitchell Peak got a little shuffled back by a car there as Robert Hartley had shuffled up to the inside there down the opening straightaway. That got exchanged again later on. Peak then gets past Dam and Hartley, and now they're looking at the start for a start procedure by the stewards. So I'm curious to see, did somebody jump or did something go awry? We're going to find out in a few minutes, but what an exciting opening lap. Now you get to go right back on down into Redgate, and this corner is one of the toughest corners I've seen in racing because you really got to trail brake the car, get the nose set, because then it dictates the speed all the way back down the bottom of the hill with the old hairpin. So this is where you might see a little separation, but this long stretch through here creates draft opportunities. That's what you're going to see a lot of as it looks like Mike Dam takes a little bit of a wide line there. Hartley trying to step inside of him. Not quite enough. Just allowing Peak to kind of get away. But really, these corners, they go flowing through here. Opportunities for draft, which keeps the pack tight. Certainly within groups of 5 or 6. Could be right here at the end for the next 30 minutes.
All right, and you can see they're going wide. I believe that was the 09 of Fike as they came through the old hairpin through turn 4, then the quick run up through Starkey's Bridge, and now as we see them coming through McLean's, and this little section here, they come through McLean's and head to Coppice. Coppice is a double apex right-hander, and it kind of reminds me of very much of the turn 11 and Oak Tree corners at VIR, except maybe in reverse, where you have to get down to the apex at the first portion of it, and then you open the corner up at the end and carry speed out, because it's then that very long downhill run till we get to the S's right here, this quick little chicane, as looks like John Allen might be able to sneak by
Greg Mack is having some internet issues there. You can see him. That's not Mack. That is actually Fike that's having some blinkies going on there in his internet, and he just sort of backed out of it to give everybody else around him a chance. But it was Mac earlier that had gone off and gotten back on. Now Fike, the one with the issues, John Allen, just trying to pick his way through traffic and maximize some points here. He's got some work to do to catch that front pack, because the front pack is flying right now, led by Mitchell Peak and then Mike Dam, Hartley, and Schwenke.
Yeah, very quick laps, as you can see here. Currently, Peak and Dam running in the mid 145s. Apparently, during practice this week, the drivers were down into the high 44s, so maybe a little bit more time to find here. And there you go, John Allen.
That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, as Allen started a couple rows back, he might have jumped the gun just a little bit. He's going to have a drive-through penalty, so the gap that he is back to our leaders right now, probably the least of his worries. And that's going to make things very difficult for him. Now, he had been the last 2 rounds, or the beneficiary of finishes in the, I believe, the 8th.
Off.
Yeah, Sancinelli going off here. I was to say John Allen going off, or pardon me, John Allen finishing, I believe, 8th and 9th in the first race the last couple of rounds, and so he was able to turn those second races into really good opportunities for him. But
tonight's going to take a pretty tall order to do a drive-through and then come back out. Although this is not the longest pit lane in the world, so if there's any race where maybe you could minimize that damage, it might be here. But still, in only a 30-minute race, to get back up into the top 10 is going to be pretty tough for him as we're watching here.
All right, let's take a replay here, and this may be Sancinelli's off. Let's take a look.
Yep, just going down through the old hairpin. That's what happens. The car starts to take a little bit of a slide. There's a fine line between perfect and, well, that really through the old hairpin. It's a really tough corner. It's super fast. You're just flying into it, trying to set up all the way on track left and just almost completely center line that apex. And right there, you can saw the car just kind of stepped a little bit sideways, back in, kicked out, and off he went. As this is the battle here between Thorman and Greg Mack as they roll down towards turn 1, the red gate corner. And they've got
Randall McGrew sitting right in with that battle as well. And McGrew and Jordy Fike, who may have solved his internet issues there, and now side by side as they come down the hill, heading toward through the Craner curves, heading towards the old hairpin. And we've got Fike, who are on board with right now. McGrew just ahead. Yeah.
He's got a great run. He's going to use that to get up on the outside of McGrew, which then leads him to the inside of McLean's.
And is he going to try and stick his nose in right behind, or right between Thorman and Mac? I don't know. That's it's awfully tight there, Larry.
It's extremely tight right now. Mac seems to be the one kind of holding down the front of this train, but Fike definitely getting feisty back there as he's kind of faded right now. But Mac wants to just say, hey guys, let's just get this done and close this gap up front of us. But I think everybody behind him, and including Thorman and McGrew, are saying, no, I want your position. And they're right now fighting for about 7th. That transfer position is still a couple of spots back. I think Brennan Horn right now holds that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and Brennan Horn, he just got around Steve Daniel about a lap ago to move up into that transfer position, into 10th position. And again, he's had some great weekends running up in the top 5, typically with the pro class drivers. But he's sitting in the catbird seat right now as we're only about 7 minutes into this 30-minute race.
This side-by-side's amazing, though. These guys are side-by-side in almost every corner. There's McGrew going side-by-side with Thorman. Again, Greg Mack is saying, all right, I can keep doing this. Well, now McGrew's got to run, going to try to maybe stick his nose down to the inside of 1. I think he's going to try it. Yes, he does. Can he hold it? Look at these guys.
Yeah, and that's going to be difficult there for Mack, and you can see there as he gets pushed a little wide, it starts to go downhill. It's off camera a little bit.
He's still there. He's not going anywhere. They're still side by side down through Craner, heading all the way down to the old hairpin. The old hairpin, somebody's got to give. Someone's got to give. Can't go side by side through there, can they?
And Mack drops in behind. Maybe gives Sancinelli a little tap as they
McGrew,
come out of there.
I think McGrew got a little bit of help coming out of there, but didn't push him too far. They're still racing.
Sancinelli, I meant Randall McGrew. Sorry about that. But, gave him a little bit of a tap. He gathered it up about 2 corners later, and you could just see the incredible speed that they're carrying through here. And right back behind them, it looks like Fike and our leader in the open class, Bobby Childs, mixing it up as well, as they were side by side right behind this battle here. So drivers really working for position here, as I'll mention our top 4 drivers have really started to separate themselves out from the rest of the field here.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those nights. It's going to be a mirror dangler. What I mean is this is the night where all the side mirrors are going to be dangling off the sides of the cars because they're going to be side by side, rubbing doors, and it's just going to be knocking those mirrors down. I already saw, I think it's McGrew's left side mirror is already falling off. But out at the front, these guys are super clean right now with Mitchell Peak and Mike Dam, those 2 Canadians, is leading the way. But Hartley and Schwenke are not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, and it looks like they've calmed down a little bit, going nose to tail, and you've got the 16, or probably of you've got Hartley sitting in right between them there, and very, very close running, as I'm sure Schwenke is going to try and.
And you talked about fast laps getting out of the 44s. They're in the 44s.
Yeah,
Hartley with a little bit of draft there, that 44 too. The pace they're setting is flying. One of the reasons is they're not fighting side by side. They're all just kind of staying in line, and I think from Dam and Hartley and Schwenke, just saying, I'll let Pete go out there and be the lead goose in this pack. No sense in fighting it. They know in a 30-minute race you can do this fighting in the last 5 or 10, not necessarily the first 5 or 10. Back here.
Yeah, I was going to say, back in working man's country.
Yes.
As we're on board now with Chris Thorman, currently running 9th overall. So great position for him to set up for race 2. Unfortunately, it happens to be 8th position in the pro class right now. So not great for a points haul. Sitting right back behind 88 Bobby Childs. Childs currently your leader in the open category as he runs a little wide, and you can see kind of
Childs out there mowing the lawn again.
Yeah, there he goes. And stalking now as Childs gives up the position to Thorman is we've got Brennan Horn in the 45 machine sitting right back behind Bobby Childs now.
Pushing Bobby along. He's going to pop out. Nope, not yet.
Yep, as they come down towards the S's, towards that chicane, didn't think he'd be able to get through there. And that chicane also very, very quick as they're in 5th gear, dropping, I believe, down to 3rd very quickly, and then right back up as they head down to these hairpins. And these hairpins here, you can see a little bit of camber in them, very, very slow, typically a 1st gear corner. And the challenge then is actually carrying that speed onto the front straight as the final hairpin, a blind entry. It is nicely cambered, though, but if you get out of that groove,
go a little wide.
Then there you go. If you run a little wide, you get out of that groove. It's hard to carry speed down the front straight here, as we now see Randall McGrew with Greg Mack and Jordy Fike starting to separate themselves out just a little bit from that battle between Thorman, Childs, and Horan.
Yeah, this is definitely long from over tonight. I think there's going to be all 7 there in your shot are probably going to be fighting for the spot that McGrew currently holds in this 5th. And he's leading the train, but as soon as an opportunity comes, I think Greg Mack's going to stick his nose right alongside him, and Fike's probably going to follow on through as they go down through the old hairpin.
Yeah, as McGrew got very loose coming through the Craner curve, setting up for the old hairpin, had the rear end drop out on him, but Greg Mack not able to do anything with it.
Cars get so light around there as you're plummeting down the hill, and it's just kind of a little bit off camber around that left-hander of Craner before you want to set up far track left to try and set up for the old hairpin. The cars just start dancing around, but that's the way that the cars have to be around this place to be fast. You got these tight hairpins, you got to get the car to rotate. You've got corners like Coppice out there, which is like this uphill, and you fight the car if you don't get it to rotate. So what happens? The compromise is Craner curves just becomes nearly deadly as the back end wants to come around, and it's the game you got to play. A little bit of compromise if you want to go fast.
All right, as we jump back here, as the drivers make their way down towards that little addition, the GP section of the course. I call it an addition, but very similar profiling to this course as it was originally laid out when it opened up in the early 30s here, as they come now down into that, again, very slow 1st gear corner, running wide. Brennan Horan for the 2nd time in a row turns in a little bit early, car pushes out. And, the thing here, Larry, is, and this, again, the carry speed here, a lot of these corners, very late apexes. But you've got some of those blind corners, as we mentioned, Coppice, a blind entry there. The last hairpin, Goddard's coming onto the front straight here, a blind entry. Really very challenging course, especially at the speeds you have to keep up here lap after lap.
Yeah, for sure. It just tempts you to want to use a lot of the grass and use a little bit more dirt at those apexes, and it's the challenge of Donington. This place it's all about the speed and how much can you possibly carry and keep that car at least 1 or 2 tires still on pavement so the car doesn't completely loop it. Corners like this are just look at that. You can see right there in the background is Mike Dam kind of even puts the car out on the dirt, and that's what you have to do though to keep this thing going fast. It's going around that through McLean's, I guess that was.
Yeah, I was going to say that's through McLean's, and so Mike Dam in the number 93 machine now sitting back in fourth, having given up positions to both Hartley and Schwenke. Hartley, who are on board with right now, looking back towards the 16 as Schwenke did not run with us at Hockenheim Ring. So welcome back, Robert Hartley, and obviously he's looking to build on his points haul from earlier in the season. He's currently sitting 7th in the championship in that Orion Racing entry.
Yeah, and he definitely had some great finishes earlier in the year, obviously with Interlagos and up in Canada at Gilles Villeneuve. So with a couple of weeks off, he's definitely looking to try and get a good points haul tonight, running in that front pack. And he might just be playing that calculation game. Let me just kind of wait till the race progresses, get to that 22nd minute, and then start making the move. Because everyone's trying to figure out which corner do you make the last lap pass on. Do you do it in between McLean's and Coppice? Do you do it going into the hairpin? Before you get to McLean's? That's going to be the game of these guys out front for Mike Dam, Schwenke, and Robert Hartley is where do you make your move on Mitchell Peak on that last lap? And for Peak, you're trying to maybe not show your entire hand right now to where you're fastest. You got to save a little something for the end.
All right, so we're just about halfway through the 30-minute race length here for round number 6 in the Classic Sprint Series. And so the 09 machine, as we've been following him on board here, Jordy Fike seems to have solved some of his connectivity issues, and on the heels right now of Randall McGrew in the 67 entry here, and really good battle that hasn't really subsided for the last couple of laps. Interesting to watch though, Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine, who was so strong in the first in the opening lap. Well, there you go, as I mentioned it, Jordy Fike temporarily disappears and reappears, and that's gotta complicate things for
it's
Thorman.
distracting for everybody around him because they see the same thing. They're seeing him disappearing, reappearing, but for him it's almost equally distracting. Sometimes all the other cars disappear and then they come back in, and that's distracting. You know it's happening to you, and try to do something about it, but you really can't. You're just sort of at the whim of whatever your internet service provider is giving you that night.
All right, and we're on board right now, watching the battle between Horan and Steve Daniel right back behind them, John Allen and Jeff Jacobs.
John Allen, where he served that penalty, he had dropped. He was running up in that 5th or 6th spot, and now he's dropped down. You can see he's already up to, I believe that's 12th, and only a couple spots away from that 10th spot. So John Allen taking advantage of the short pit lane to serve that penalty. Now he's going to be trying making a move on Steve Daniel as they come out of the hairpin onto the front straight.
Yeah, as he chops off the exit there to come underneath Steve Daniel, coming onto the front straight here. And let's see if we'll just follow John Allen here for a moment and see if he can pick up a position again just out of that transfer spot of 10th position, as he now he's got a nose up on the 96 machine. I wouldn't say he's got the position yet. Well, now I think we could say he's got the position. So give John Allen 11th overall. That is 9th in the pro category. He started in 7th. So made up the majority of the positions that he lost, having to do that drive-through penalty for the jump start here. But I think more importantly, he's trying to set himself up for a great start in round number 2, where in round number 7, where remember what we do is we invert the field. We take the top 10 finishers, flip them on their heads, and that's how we'll set the grid for race number 2 tonight.
Yeah, and for Allen, he wants to try and get that spot that right now Brennan Horn has, and that's not going to be an easy pass. We've seen some really strong performances out of Brennan Horn this year. I suspect that's going to be a tough pass to get past our current open class points leader for John Allen, so that'll be an interesting one as we wind down. But this battle up here is kind of settled down. This is the McGrew and Fike, and right now it's Thorman. Those three, they were side by side for a lot of laps. They've really kind of settled in as the three of them are now just kind of pulling away from the Bobby Childs and Brennan Horn pack behind them. But I think it's only a matter of time then before probably Thorman's getting a little feisty in there, and Jordy Fike might as well here as we're past the halfway point now in this first sprint.
Yeah, and we're starting to see Greg Mack, although that lap, Mack was about 4/10 off this pack here that we're watching, but Greg Mack sitting just a couple car lengths back from that battle for 5th overall as they come down the front straight here. And you can see here is the pace that the front of the field continues to carry that last time by a low 145, a 145.1 for our leader Mitchell Peak. Hartley, Dam, and also Schwenke all in the 44s, and they have now opened up almost a 12-second advantage over our fourth place cars here as we go back here, and starting to get a little spicy here.
For Allen. He might get. I was going to say he might get by them both, but he might not survive it. He does. He survives, but who doesn't is Brennan Horan, and I think that was Bobby Childs in front of him.
That was Bobby Childs in the 88 machine as they both went around there. So Steve Daniel, now your leader in the open category in the number 96 machine. As you mentioned, John Allen now works his way around. So Allen now running 9th overall. Steve Daniel, our leader, there he is in that bronze-colored machine. He is your current leader in the open category and sitting in the catbird seat 10th overall. Let's see if we can get a replay of that.
Yeah, and I'm telling you what happened here is you see Allen. Once we get this queued up here, you see Allen's the third one in that shot. Childs goes wide. When he comes back in, he's just going to put it sideways and take out Brennan Horn right in front of him. And John Allen just sitting there going, where do I go? Where do I go? And I heard it on the radio as well. Bobby Childs obviously not happy with that performance and immediately apologized to Brennan for that move. And it's unfortunate, but that's the nature of that corner is you just put it out in that dirt and someone's going to get hooked back on the pavement. For John Allen, he lucked out and was able to pick up 2 spots. And unfortunately for Bobby and for Brennan, their race is virtually over. Is out at the front. Hartley's trying to catch up to Peak now as we're down around that 20th minute. This is the moment where everything starts to get a little bit dicey. This is where your moves start to get
they've
planned.
started to separate themselves out just a little bit for Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke. Not going to say it's a 2-car battle yet, but we're getting there as Robert Hartley in that number 3 machine seems to be pushing the pace right now with Mitchell Peak. The last time by for the second lap in a row, Hartley the faster of the 2 entries, and Peak has now started to pick up the pace just a little bit. As you can see there, we've got the last 5 laps on the screen for you, and Hartley has consistently, with one exception there, been the faster of the 2 drivers, but both of them have started to move away just a little bit from Dam and Schwenke.
I think Hartley wants to try and even maybe push Peak along a little bit, just with a couple laps to go to create some space to try and make a move.
Yeah.
That way it's sort of like hedging your bet a little bit. You want to make sure you don't finish any worse than second, so you want to push along the leader and give enough of a gap that if you try to make a move, it doesn't work, you don't suddenly get full rush.
You don't get bum rushed by the 2 guys behind you.
Exactly.
But you take a look here, and I don't know if Mitchell Peak is playing to the same script here, as he's a little defensive going down into Melbourne. The second to last hairpin here, as he really went and hugged that curbing all the way around, took an inside line, really compromised his speed out, but unfortunately nothing that Hartley could do with it here. And you can see already Hartley starting to give a look down the inside as they come down in turn 1, as they come into Redgate, and Hartley just not quite close enough to make the move right there. But as they roll through this long sweeping corner and start to make their way down the hill here, starting lap 13 of what will probably be about 18. Going
That's
around
Fike.
is Jordy Fike.
Right there in that hairpin coming back onto the front straight. He's just all by himself as Edgar Tancinelli goes around him. He managed to get going again, but that's going to hurt him as he was up there in that higher battle, and now he's going to take himself right out of it.
All right, so let's jump back and see if we can, we've got it on board here. We've got the replay. As he comes down into Melbourne, gets on the brakes. And he got a tap there from the 60 machine, and then so the 60 machine and then Greg Mack get caught up in that as well. The 60 machine being Chris Thorman. So lots and lots there. So a little unassisted spin there by Mr. Fike as we jump back to live action here and back over to the lead. And our new leader, Robert Hartley, in the number 3 machine, has managed to get by Mitchell Peak. And then as that happened, that did bring Mike Dam and Schwenke back into the fold. And you can see now that number 93 machine of Mike Dam, he's all over the back of Mitchell Peak as they make their way down towards the final hairpin over towards Goddard's.
I think those 3 guys behind Mitchell Peak were more or less saving tires, saving a little something for this moment here, and it really paid off there for Hartley, able to make that pass before they go into that hairpin section of the track. And Mike Dam is just all over the back of Mitchell Peak. through the rest of that section. I think he actually might be the quickest car on the track right now, but he's got to get around one to have a shot to get to the other, because Hartley's quick, Peak is fast, but I think Mike Dam might be looking to make a move, perhaps either, if not coming out of the old hairpin, perhaps it's a good spot to go. If not, maybe by the time they get up to McLean's, if he can set him up.
You can see as he pops over the apex curbing, coming through the old hairpin and making the way up to the first of the two right-handers here, up to McLean's. Got the little bend here through Starkey's, and then they're going to set up as they come on through now, and then set up for well, we have again that double apex right-hander at Coppice. And you know, Larry, the last two laps as I was watching the 56 of Peak, you know, not only did he start to get very defensive, but it looked as though he might have been throwing the car around a little bit more, trying to find every last inch of or last bit of speed there. And I think you got it right. I think Mike Dam right now, if he's not the fastest driver on course, I think he may have Peak's number. It's just going to be a question here of whether or not Peak can hold him off for the last 6 minutes or so. As we see here now, Thorman getting a drive-through penalty for that incident we saw before where he got into the back of Jordy Fike, and that also affected Greg Mack.
So that's interesting with the penalty on Thorman. He's currently in the 10th spot. That's going to, when he does serve that penalty, it's going to bump Greg Brockway up into that spot, or potentially Edgar Sanginelli. So somebody's going to get a good opportunity to that unfortunate penalty there on Chris Thorman. But I think you're right up at the front. I think Mitchell Peak is definitely pushing that car. I'm wondering if he's got much tire left in the car, as he led virtually the entire race after the end of lap 1 up until that point where Hartley was able to get on by. And I wonder how much tire he's got left, because damn, you look at him, he's all over him. He wants to try and get by, but now he's sort of in that position where Peak's got a little bit of the draft happening and helping him out in front. So damn, it's going to be that much harder to make a pass from third to second. It's actually harder in this case than it is to go from second to first.
All right, so we've got 5 minutes remaining here in the 30-minute race for round 6, our first race of the evening. Dropping a wheel is our leader. Hartley gathers it back up, and we'll see now if Peak again can hold off Mike Dam. This is the battle for the lead here in round 6. We've got the 3 teammates and the 1 outlier. We've got the 3 Orion Racing entries, and then we've got the single Esport Racer entry there, as they've again only just a couple laps remaining. We're working lap 15, and it looks like
the opportunity for Dam.
18.
Dam's trying to use that opportunity to coming off of Coppice. Not able to make it stick though. He has to kind of fall back in line for a moment there. I think had his teammate sort of moved track right, he might have been able to catch a bit of draft, but unable to get that there, as he's still kind of third in this train. And it is sort of like being the third leg on a date. You know, you can't quite figure out where your spot is, and the 2 dancing partners up front are doing their thing, and sometimes you end up being left out. So it'll be tough for Dam to make this pass now with only probably about 3 laps to go.
3 laps to go. All right, as they make their way now down the short run to Goddard's, drop into that groove, and to try to carry as much speed as possible onto the front straight. You can see all 3 drivers at the front of the field, pretty much identical lines there, and now already getting a little defensive is Hartley. I think he's a little concerned now, perhaps, about Mitchell Peak sitting back behind. You see maybe turns in a little bit earlier than Peak anticipated, maybe got in on the brakes maybe a little bit more than Mitchell Peak anticipated, had to scrub some speed off as they roll down the hill here. And now take a look at this, as Mitchell Peak runs a little bit wide coming through the Craner curves, and as they come up the hill, this might be the best opportunity that the number 93 entry has, as they come through, start to make their roll up the hill through Starkey's and come up towards McLean. And already here you can see that looking for both some clean air and to open up these corners as much as possible. The number 93 machine of Dam all over the back right now of the 56 machine, as we only have maybe a little bit over 2 laps remaining here for round 1 of 2 races this evening.
Yeah, I think there's going to be just a couple of opportunities to pass. Going into the S's right here is one opportunity if you can get a great run off of Coppice. Not going to happen anything here on this lap, but a bad run through the S's could give an opportunity down at the Melbourne hairpin at the bottom of the hill, and that might be where Mike Dam's going now. If he can't do it here, he might be looking to try and do it going into Redgate.
Yeah, and you could see his Peak came all the way over to the inside to try to hold off Mike Dam, but at least for the moment, Dam gets around Peak not able to do the over-under. Dam sticking to the inside, drivers left, now switching over, crossing over. Peak tries to get underneath the 93 machine as they come through Goddard's, going onto the front straight. Little bit of slip and slide there from Mike Dam, but he holds on to the position. And Larry, you saw it as they came through the S's. Now, the last 3 laps, the 93 machine did not get a very good run through the S's, actually lost a little bit of ground to the 56 machine. That time, though, carried a lot more momentum through, was able to quickly move to the inside. The 56 not able to cover. We have a new second place runner. It's Mike Dam. But in the meantime, Robert Hartley now has opened up a car length and a half over the 93 machine as time runs down. And again, likely only this lap and one more to go.
Don't think this is over by any stretch. I think these top 3 could definitely swap positions. I think Peak could retaliate against Dam. That could happen, but I think Dam isn't too far back of Hartley. Hartley's put down some great laps, but like I said a moment ago, I think Dam might be the quickest car in the track right now. He got a good opportunity there on that lap to get around Mitchell Peak. As long as he doesn't make the big mistake and he gets an opportunity here to get a good run, he might just gain right back up onto the back of Hartley as they go around and see that white flag next time by. But you can see he's got to really get some good runs. He's just needs a good run through the chicane, hit these 2 hairpins, and maybe has a shot on the last lap.
You know, and we haven't mentioned Travis Schwenke all that much here. He's sitting in 4th place, seemingly right still in the heat of the battle. But Larry, I haven't seen him really make a move from that about 2 car lengths back from this group of 3. And I don't know if he's got the car or the pace to try to get up to that last podium position, as our drivers now making their way up to Goddard's to the last corner here. And when they come around onto the front straight, they should see the white flag, signifying 1 lap to go here for round 6, the first of 2 30-minute races. There we go. White flag is in the air. Your leader going into lap number 18 is Robert Hartley. Mike Dam running 2nd. Mitchell Peak running 3rd. Travis Schwenke about 2 car lengths back in the number 16 machine. He is running in 4th. Running a little wide there is Mitchell Peak. Doesn't seem to lose that much ground as they start to make their way down through the Craner curves here.
But Mike Dam has got a chance here. He's now cut it down to about 3/10. He's right up on the heels of Robert Hartley. His best shot's probably going to be, if Hartley is clean through these next couple of corners, it's going to either be going into the S's or it's going to be down to the Melbourne hairpin where he was able to get past Mitchell Peak. But you watch, he's going to stake right on his bumper all the way through the section. If nothing else, put tons of pressure on Hartley to be perfect, because 1 little inch of mistake, whether it's up here at McLean's or at Coppice, he's clean through McLean's, but if he makes any bit of a mistake here at Coppice, you're going to watch Hartley is going to can't make that mistake, as Mike Dam's going to get a run. But right now, that's a pretty clean exit for both drivers.
Yes.
Dam's best chance might now be all the way at the bottom of the hill, the Melbourne hairpin, here with about 3 corners to go.
All right, as we're winding down here, not clean through McLean's was the 56 machine of Peak, but Schwenke not quite close enough to take any action there, as our leader Robert Hartley now leads Dam, Peak, and Schwenke down into Melbourne. Only 2 corners remaining here as the number 3 machine runs very, very wide. The number 93 machine trying to sneak up alongside drivers right, but covering at the last moment there is the number 3 machine. Hartley going to hold on for, can he hold on for 1 more corner as they come through Goddard's, coming through the last corner, sticks the landing, coming down the front straight, and your winner in race 1 tonight, round number 6 of the Classic Sprint Series, it's Robert Hartley. Mike Dam will finish in 2nd, then Mitchell Peak and Travis Schwenke as we drop a little bit further back. And this is the battle for the lead now in the open category, as we've got Nick Parsono and Steve Daniel side by side. Now Parsono, didn't he say that he was going to just lie back and wait?
Be the vulture.
There we go, and they are side by side coming down to the final corner. The 79 machine of Parsono takes the inside position coming through, and as they come onto the front straight, coming down and taking the win in the open category, Nick Parsono in the number 79 NAP Motorsports entry, finishing 2nd. Steve Daniel in the number 96 entry, and then it looks like Greg Brockway will finish in 3rd. But Larry, let's take a look here as Brockway, as he crosses the stripe, he finishes 10th overall. That means he's going to start on the pole for race number 2 tonight. Jeff Jacobs will start right next to him on the outside of the front row. Steve Daniel and Nick Parsono are going to start on row number 2.
Yeah, a fantastic finish there for Parsono, able to come from a 15th on the grid to finish 7th in the race and to take that win in the Open Class. Great run for him. And really, though, Hartley, though, just the calculated moves there to stick behind Peak for so long and be able to take that victory. After taking a couple of weeks off, he's a man on a mission tonight. Wasn't able to put it on the front row to start the race, but he ends up taking the checker flag first at the end of it.
All right, so Larry, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll come back as our drivers, they've got a couple minutes to rest, relax, maybe take a couple practice laps, and we'll get ready and grid up for race number 2. So hold on tight. We'll be back in just a few moments. You're watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, round 6 and 7 from Donington Park, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and welcome back to Donington Park for round 6 and 7 of the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry McLeod. And Larry, what an exciting first race that we had here tonight with Robert Hartley from Orion Racing taking the win. His teammate Mike Dam all over the back of him coming out of the final corner, finishing in second. Mitchell Peak taking the last step on the podium in the pro category. And then what did we call him during the pre-race interview? The French Vulture.
French Vulture, yes.
There we go. Nicholas Parsono taking the win in the open category with Steve Daniel, who led the majority of the race from the open class in the SKKJ Racing entry, finishing in second. Greg Brockway third, with Edgar Sancinelli and Mike Key finishing 4th and 5th. But as we get set up for race number 2 tonight, round number 7 in the Classic Sprint Series, as we've said all night, we're going to be flipping things on its head. We're going to be inverting the top 10 finishers here tonight. That means Greg Brockway is going to start on the pole today for the second race, and it's definitely going to make things interesting here, as some of the drivers that started finished mid-pack in race 1, their challenge is going to be to hold off the rest of the field for 30 minutes.
And as we've seen already, that is not an easy challenge. This is actually a pretty good track to try and make some passing on, as we just saw a whole lot of them, with Parsono, and as well as the pass for the lead there in the closing moments. So I think what we're going to see is a lot of aggression fighting its way through in these opening laps with an inverted top 10. I think it's going to be interesting because this place has opportunities to pass, but they're treacherous. I mean, I talk about that old hairpin, one of my favorite corners in all the tracks that we run on this platform, because of that high speed. It's almost like the kink at Road America. It's one of those that just dares you to go nearly flat around that thing. It's kind of got an off-camber nature to it. Opening laps of crowded races, it becomes just like a death pool of carnage of cars. That just somebody's going to run wide, someone's going to come back on, and it's going to take out the pack. And I hope we can get through cleanly like we did in lap 1 of the first race. But with all these guys thinking, hey, I'm faster than the people in front of me, I'm going to make that move in the opening lap, it's a very enticing place to try, not the smartest place.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Larry, I'm looking back a week ago, last Monday, for the second round of the brand new Lambeau Trophy Series. where the start for the second race did not exactly go to plan for a lot of drivers as they started
a little bit
lap.
of Watkins Glen. I'm just saying.
Exactly, as they all started lap 2 from the pit lane. So hopefully things will be a little bit cleaner here, and maybe a little bit more similar to the start of race 1 tonight. All right, so the 5-minute warm-up is now complete. Looks like our drivers, they'll be heading into the pits here, and we'll have them starting to grid up in just a brief moment here. And looks like we've got the starting order. So why don't we start running down the order, Larry, as we've got Greg Brockway. He is going to be your pole sitter for race number 2 tonight in the number 62 Esport Racer machine, with Jeff Jacobs starting right beside him in the streetsurvival.org entry, the number 38 car, starting second. Then we've got Steve Daniel, finished second in the open category in race 1. The SKKJ Racing entry will start third, with Nick Parsono, our winner from that race in the open category. He'll start on the outside of row number 2. Then we've got John Allen and Randall McGrew making up row 3. Then Schwenke and Peak starting 7th and 8th. Making up row number 5, Mike Dam and Robert Hartley, your first and second place finishers from race 1. Then we've got Edgar Sancinelli and Chris Thorman will start 11th and 12th. Then we've got Jordy Fike. He'll start on the inside of row number 7 with Greg Mack right beside him, the 2 Esport Racer entries. Then Michael Key and John Casey starting 15th and 16th. Row number 8, Brennan Horan in the number 45 Esport Racer machine, and Bobby Childs in the number 88 entry, the D2D Esports entry, will start in 18th position.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of some aggression mixed with some patience, and hopefully it's all clean bodywork we get to the end of lap 1. I'm really looking for John Allen to have a bit of a redemption run. He was able to serve that penalty, get himself up into that top 6 there in that race. Now inverted, he's going to start this second race here in a very strong position, so keep your eye on that green machine there on that 3rd row.
Yeah, the number 101 machine, keep a keen eye on him, as well as we've got McGrew and Schwenke starting right by them as well. So they may start a fairly quick run to the front, as the pace car now bringing the field around the final corner, around Goddard's, and we've got Brockway and Jacobs. Brockway in the number 62 machine there, driver's right, your pole sitter, with the 38 machine of Jeff Jacobs to driver's left. And we've got a start, and jumping out to an early lead is the number 62 machine. Looks like he's trying to still get some heat in the tires. They're doing a little scrubbing on the front straight. Moves back over, driver's left to start up for turn number 1. And then we've got the 96 is Steve Daniel. Then Jeff Jacobs in the yellow number 66 right behind. And John Allen has already gotten around.
Oh, no. That's
off
Mike
the
Dam.
number 93 machine. Mike Dam going off early. Looks like he had an impact with the wall. We'll have to see if he's able to continue, but that's going to drop him all the way to the tail end of the field and a long way back. Now
big
contact
coming out of the hairpin.
Yeah, we got
Parsono and Chris Thorman.
Thorman also involved in that. We had Randall McGrew. Looks like he went off as well. And Parsono looks dead stick in the grass, and we are going to a full course caution.
Wow, that's that corner I was telling you. It's one of those treacherous places where it just entices you to want to go side by side, and you just can't. So I'm sure we'll get a replay up here in a second. But boy, talk about some serious carnage, huh?
All right, let's go to the replay, Larry.
All right, so you can see this pack coming down, and they are just all nose to tail. And coming out of that old hairpin, one slides, the other start making contact. And we got a shot of McGrew there spinning in the grass on the left, but I'm sure he's not the only one, as we had seen a few others there. Nick Parsono ended up on track right.
Yeah, we had Thorman go off, driver's right as well. And I think back behind, of course, we got caught up as we were watching Mitchell Peak go for the long run through the grass as well there. So, again, under full course caution here for race number 2, round number 7 of the Classic Sprint Series, this 30-minute race. And you can see the only driver on the pit lane right now was our race 1 winner, Nick Parsono, race 1 winner from the open category, Nick Parsono, driver of the number 79 NAP Motorsports machine. And we'll have to see how long it takes to get that car repaired enough that it can come back out. But it looked pretty beat up there.
Cars. There's lots of damaged cars out there right now. And for Mike Dam, he's right in the middle of all of it. But let's catch another replay here. As they're going down into turn 1. A lot of side-by-side already. There's Mike Dam. Catches a little bit of that curb on that inside, and around he goes. Doesn't look like he made any contact, but lucky to kind of stay clean.
Yeah.
Look at all these cars.
And Larry, the pit lane is starting to look a lot more crowded now, as we had Travis Schwenke take to the pit lane, the number 16 machine, who finished 4th in the first race. We had Randall McGrew come into the pits. Edgar Sancinelli in the number 57 Frito Sport entry comes down to the pits. Now we've got the number 78
John Casey
entry, John Casey. And Casey came down the pit lane, did not go into his pit stall, comes back out.
Stall. You've seen this once in a while where you miss your pit stall and you got to go all the way around again. And for him, it's unfortunate. It's a lot of time lost, but he'll follow this pack around. But a lot of carnage right there. And frankly, the one who's going to benefit from this was that replay we just watched with Mike Dam having that first corner spin. He dropped all the way to the back. Well, now he's already passed 6 cars and he hasn't really had to do anything. So now you look out in front of him and he's got Chris Thorman. That's not going to be easy to get by. Michael Key, Bobby Childs, and he's going to fight his way back. But I don't know that he'll be fighting for the win, but he should be able to salvage at least into a top 10 by the time this race is over. So he's probably breathing a sigh of relief that yellow flag came out.
All right, and if you look up at the top of the order there, before the full course caution came out, Steve Daniel in the number 96 entry jumped to the lead in the SKKJ Racing entry. There he is right there. Then Greg Brockway, who was our pole sitter for race number 2, in the number 62 Esport Racer entry, currently sitting in 2nd. And look who's right behind him. It's the number 101 entry, the Defined Auto Works car of John Allen. So, if you look through the order here, you've got Jeff Jacobs, you've got Peak and Hartley sitting, only a couple cars back from John Allen. But if he can dispatch with these two on the front row, he's got to, might have some breathing room for a lap or two before he has to worry.
Much, because he's got Mitchell Peak and Robert Hartley just a spot or so behind him, right, with Jeff Jacobs in the middle there. We know how tough Jeff Jacobs is to get around. But I think Peak and Hartley are going to have their sights set on that green Defined Auto Works car once they're able to get past Jeff Jacobs. So this will be an interesting restart, and how quickly can Peak and Hartley get past Jacobs, or can Jacobs kind of make a fight here, hold them back, and perhaps giving John Allen a chance to fight for the lead out in the front.
All right, as the drivers now making their way through Goddard's, and we are back to green flag racing here, and Steve Daniel opening up getting a great run out of the final corner, opens up a couple car length advantage, but now you can see John Allen peeking to the inside of the number 62 of Brockway. He's going to get the pass done to move Allen up to 2nd overall, and then we've got Brockway, we've got Jeff Jacobs. It didn't look like Peak or Hartley were able to make up any positions, at least in that first corner, as they start to make their way down the hill, down through the Craner curves, and still Steve Daniel with that advantage they opened up on coming out of the final corner, but now you can see John Allen making up a ton of ground coming through Starkey's.
Well, they say loose is fast, and John Allen was very loose down there through the old hairpin, but was able to keep it going, and he was fast as Peak now is able to get around Jeff Jacobs for that 4th spot and try to gain some ground here and not let John Allen get away with this. And I'll tell you what, Steve Daniel definitely putting up a strong fight up there, not having any sort of easy business here, but John Allen gets a great run off of Coppice, and they might even have a pass before they get down into the S's.
Yeah, as they come down to the S's, that quick little chicane, John Allen, he's got the position, but he's going to have to make the turn in there from the middle of the track. He does manage to hold on to John Allen. He is your leader, and both Peak now and Hartley have gotten around Greg Brockway. It looked like Hartley was having a little bit of an issue there with Jeff Jacobs, but it looks like Jacobs lost a lot of ground. You can see there that yellow car dropped, I think, 4 positions coming out of Coppice. So we may see what happened there, but now as we're on board with Greg Brockway coming out of the final corner, coming out of Goddard onto the front straight. He's got the number 3 of Hartley just ahead of him. Hartley, our winner from race 1. And as they head down into turn 1 to completing lap number 3, we're about 7 minutes into this 30-minute sprint.
Yep, as bike already running a little wide there.
And it looked like right behind, looks like Jeff Jacobs had an off there at turn 1 also.
He did.
Put that car around. There you go. And he's just now rejoining. That's going to drop Jeff Jacobs all the way down the 15th. A pretty disastrous 2 laps for him here at Donington, as John Allen now starting to separate himself out just a little bit. And you can see side by side. All right, let's take a look. We're going to see here real quick here as Mitchell Peak gets around Jeff Daniels. Let's jump back to the replay here as they come down into
yellow
turn
car in
1.
the middle there, and he had a little bit of help.
He had a little help.
He did have just a little help when that car behind him didn't quite catch the number on that one.
All right, so let's jump back now to live action as the 56 of Peak does get around Steve Daniel. So Move Peak, who finished second in our opening race, now up in the second position, about 4 car lengths back from John Allen. If we look a little bit further back, we're looking at down, I think we now know the answer. It looks like it was the number 88 machine of Bobby Childs.
And for Bobby, if he's the one involved, that's 2 incidents tonight for him to be involved. And the first one was that off, and then the sudden back on that he got tangled in earlier. I believe it was with Brennan Horn, and now unfortunately he's the one who was involved with Jacobs, who's actually one of our normally our race stewards in some of our Ricmotech series. That's one of the guys you're not supposed to mess with. Right?
No.
It's first rule. Don't ever punt the steward off the track.
No. Now the question is is he the judge and jury, or is
We'll let that behind-the-scenes action happen as it does. And
witness for the prosecution? Yeah, there you go. All right, as we go back on board right now, and you can see now that the 88 of Childs, he's got Mike Dam right behind him with Brockway, who started off on the front row, was actually our pole sitter now, and you can see Brockway started on the pole. He's now falling back into 10th overall. But things starting to group up into little packs here. All right, and we are looking
for. There's your penalty on Bobby Childs right there. A drive-through issued for the contact with Jeff Jacobs. He'll serve that. He's the one right in front of Mike Dam here in this battle for 8th overall in this, with of course Dam out of the pro class and Childs out of the open class.
Given the short race here, does Dam try to push the issue, or does he just wait for the 88 car to peel off into the pits?
I wouldn't be surprised to see if Mike Dam gets past Bobby before they even get to the end of the next straightaway. But as you can see right there, that's Schwenke now alongside Thorman with McGrew right behind him.
Yeah, and you remember that both Schwenke and McGrew got caught up into those first lap shenanigans there, and they are currently sitting back in 10th and 11th position. In the whole scheme of things, Larry, with the full course cautions, they did not lose a lot of ground there.
No, they did quite well considering the amount of damage that they've got on board and able to keep racing and maybe salvage some points here tonight. And for Schwenke, had that great first race. I mean, a top 4, and then had that incident there on the first lap of the 4th corner of this second race, kind of set him back. But he's trying to salvage some points here. Currently up to 10th as Bobby Childs serves his penalty. And that leaves Mike Dam with kind of free reign now to catch up to Brennan Horn and Greg Mack out in front of him. And there he is. Apparently he didn't turn his tires off for the sprint race, thinking that he wasn't going to pit. It was supposed to be a drive-through, but apparently
is he going to now have to take, since he stopped in the pit stall, is he going to have to actually take another run down the pit lane for a drive-through?
I'm hoping the stewards are friendly to him, because there wasn't a planned pit stop for this race anyway.
Right.
And but yeah, they may have to do something with his penalty as he decided to stop and take tires. And I'd love to talk to Bobby about that later on.
All right, so let's take a look now here at the battle for the lead. John Allen and Mitchell Peak, and they're starting to come up now on is that Casey? Yeah, that's the 78 of Casey, not Parsino in the 79. There is, I think, Parsino is still sitting in the pits, and they are now side by side with John Allen. He's got position going into the S's, the little chicane there, as they make the run down towards Melbourne. And then take a look now as the number 3 machine comes into the battle as well. Robert Hartley getting awfully racy, awfully quickly. There is he crested up over the hill, and it is now a 3-car battle for the lead with John Allen, Peak, and Hartley.
He saw what's happening in front of him and said, "Hey guys, I want a piece of that." So he decided to stick his nose right in there, and Hartley's going to try and come right on back after that first race performance. He wants to try and do it again, and John Allen and Peak are out there battling and fighting out in front of me. Figured, what the heck, I may as well get involved with that one. And this really is giving an opportunity for Mike Dam to make up some ground, because as the pace of the guys out front has slipped, Mike Dams has not slipped, as he's still turning 44s behind them. And there you see 44.6. He's picked up a second on these leaders. And if he can get around Horan and Greg Mack relatively quickly, he has a shot, if these front guys keep playing around, to maybe catch up and be a part of that pack before this thing's over.
All right, as they roll down the hill through the Craner curves, Mike Dam, he makes his way around Brennan Horan. So move Dam now up into 7th overall, and not all that far back now. He's got Greg Mack just ahead of him in line, and Jordy Fike as they make their way up the hill, and all being bottled up just a little bit behind Steve Daniel, who is currently sitting in the lead in the open category, as our top 3 drivers, Allen Peak and Hartley, start to walk away. So let's sit here for a moment as we've got Jordy Fike in the 09 entry. He's looking, and I know I said it like 3 times in the first race. Looks like he's got his internet connectivity issues solved, and I only say that because he hasn't blinked out in the last 15 seconds.
Until the commentator's curse kicks in and he blinks away. But
yeah, exactly.
If that does, I'm totally putting my blame squarely on you.
Yeah,
but he does look like
I'll deserve every last bit of it.
He's at least driving quickly now and trying to catch up to Steve Daniel there in front of him. This is essentially the battle for 4th in this train, and there he goes. There we go. Out in front. See, you jinxed him. But Steve Daniel holding on relatively well here, trying to keep these guys behind him. And that just means that Mike Dam, who's trying to catch the front pack, or maybe had visions of it, he's got a lot more work to do, because these 3 in front of him are going to be a tough pass, each and every one of them.
And a great exit there out of Goddard's by the 96 machine. Turned in a little bit late, maybe, got out of the groove on entry, but was able to really late apex and straighten up the wheel and carry a good amount of speed, and was able to hold Fike off at least for another corner. But now Jordy Fike, he looks to the inside, going through Redgate through turn 1 here as they start to make their way down this long high-speed hill here at Donington. And things are starting to bottle up a little bit behind that 96 entry.
Just a bit. And I think Fike is just the aggressive one to try and break this up. And Steve Daniel's a little bit all over the place, a little bit unpredictable. And there goes Fike down the inside, which will turn quickly to the outside as they get to McLean's. That's just going to be a 2x2 battle here. As he's blinky. He's going to take that outside line. Wow, what a pass.
And look at Mike Dam as the 4th car of that train, and Greg Mack doing everything he can to hold him off as he's shot over from driver's left to driver's right, not able to make another position or another move though, as Mike Dam now side by side with the number 2 machine as they start to make that run down towards the S's. At least Greg Mack, he's going to have position going into the S's. He's going to hold off the 93 car for at least another moment there. But as you can see, Jordy Fike has gotten around the 96 of Steve Daniel.
Yeah, and I'm still watching Mike Dam. He definitely needs to get past Greg Mack right here. But Mack driving very well, somewhat defensive lines, holding position. This left side here will become the inside for the Goddards coming up shortly. He's able to hold right there, and Mike Dam just trying to get good clean exits. There's a wreck in front of him.
Oh, going around right ahead of him was Daniel. Yep, and he spins out. That's going to collect Dam, and was Fike involved with that as well?
Yeah, there's Swanky.
Oh, and it looks like Schwenke now with a wheel down. His day is now done, or his race is now done. That's unfortunate. Travis Schwenke had finished 4th overall in our first race, and not going to take the checkered flag here this evening for race number 2.
Wow, that was unfortunate. We'll catch a bit of a replay here in a second, as it looked like, and we'll show it right here. There's Steve Daniel in the brown car. Second car in your shot. As he turns in, he gets a little bit wide and had some help.
And that's exactly what he did the lap before, Larry, is he took a very late entry into the corner there and came down to the apex, and you could see right back behind him, that second car in line.
I think that was Fike.
Yeah, just he went to the apexes, and I think took a pretty traditional entry there. Just didn't expect the Daniel to come back down to the apex.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I don't know if you put the blame on that on anybody. It's just like you said, it could just be the way he takes that line. It looked a little bit funny. But for Fike, if that's the and actually it looks like it was actually Greg Mack, the number 2 there, is the one they're identifying. So for Greg Mack, it's one of those, as a trailing driver, you do have to kind of watch for those things, and it's unfortunate because unfortunate really for Travis Schwenke. He's the innocent bystander here. He tried to just pass on through that corner. He got tangled up.
And there was no room there. There was just nowhere for him to go.
Turned himself into a Reliant Robin and headed off into the wall. There's a little British car reference for you.
A three-wheeled British car reference. Thank you.
Exactly. But out in front, John Allen lead the way. Mitchell Peak, interesting now, because the whole first race, he essentially led the whole way along until Hartley and Dan were making passes on him. And now the roles are a bit reversed. He's the trailing car in second, watching John Allen burn his tires up. So Peak, can he turn this around, learn some lessons from the first race, and apply them here in race number 2? And for Hartley, can he make the magic repeat?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Larry, is, as Hartley sat behind Mitchell Peak for almost the entirety of our first race tonight, he certainly was able to, I'm sure, was able to pick up what Peak was doing and, any small little niggles that he might have had in his lines around the course. And, I think Peak has to, might have to drive a little bit from the rearview mirror, knowing that Hartley is sitting back there. It's got to certainly take away some of his attention.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's what's going to be very interesting as we go down, because we know that Hartley's learned a lot from following Peak, and Peak learned some from leading, but Hartley's got a lot more data collected on how to get by. Peak's got to figure out quickly how to get by John Allen, as we got a shot now of Jordy Fike in the number 9, as he's hopefully got his internet back, and he's got...
And there you go.
Mike behind him. And there he goes. As Greg Mack was assessed a penalty there for his involvement in that incident there with Steve Daniel. But for Mike Dam, actually, just to touch on him for a second, he's all the way back up to 5th. Remember, he had the turn 1 spin, had him dead last in his field, 18th in the field. Now he's back up to 5th with a good shot here of getting past Jordy Fike. He can get all the way to the top 4.
He's had the benefit of a lot of drivers having to take to the pit lane in this short race, Larry, which has certainly helped move him up through the field. But obviously, a lot of positions picked up on track as well, as he's now sitting right back behind Jordy Fike. And I was gonna say, the last time by didn't get a good run out of Coppice. That I think that Fike had perhaps gotten a little bit better run. We'll see if the number 93 car can, if he can tighten that up just a little bit. But I almost get the feeling like he's playing with the like he's playing with the 09 car at this point, as we take a quick look at all the cars, all the carnage at the Donington pit lane there. Is Schwenke, I think, was looking for or not Schwenke, Schwenke looking for somebody to prop up the right front of his MX-5.
Yeah, his not doing so well, and it does look like Greg Mack may have just decided to bail in this race while serving that penalty, which might have also been what Bobby Childs did earlier, decided it was just better to stay out of the way and stay off the track and let these guys do their thing out in front. But out in front right now, John Allen still. Now we're at that 20-minute mark. This is about the point where Hartley started to pressure Mitchell Peak in the first race, and I wonder if this is where Peak's going to start doing the same thing now to John Allen. But Hartley still in that catbird seat, but you got to do it quickly because you got to get past both. I don't think he can wait until the 26th minute to make a move on Mitchell Peak.
All right, and you can see there now starting to show the nose going down into Melbourne. Peak turning in just a little bit early. Now remember that we saw Peak turning in early for these 2 hairpins in race 1 as well, and it was more as a defensive posture to hold off Robert Hartley. Let's take a look here as we're getting word now that the number 96 machine is going to get a penalty for an unsafe rejoin. Now they've got our leaders have Nicholas Parsono, who was our open category winner from race number 1, just ahead of them. We'll have to see if Parsono moves out of the way. I would assume that he is, although Larry, given the layout of the track here and how fast some of these corners are, there aren't a lot of places for Parsono to park the car.
He's doing the perfect job right there.
Yeah, he found the best place he could there through the old hairpin, and parks the car so that these drivers can make their way through, and gave John Allen maybe a little bit of breathing room, at least on this lap. I suspect that Peak will probably be able to make that up in the draft fairly quickly, though.
Yeah, I think
Allen
he will.
actually, and I'll tell you, as wide as Allen just went, coming out of McLean's.
He's looking more like a John Deere out there than a John Allen, as he's got himself all the way out there, and but able to gather it. We'll see if Pete can now get a run off of Coppice all the way down the Starkey Straight.
Well, you know, that green paint job almost got the John Deere livery there as they come through the S's now. And look at the run that Peak has coming through the S's as they're now side by side.
Make it a 3 wide. Make it a 3 wide. Come on, Robert.
You know, that I think Hartley's chance for that was a couple laps ago. As John Allen, he's got the inside position going into Melbourne, but look at this now with a great run as Robert Hartley coming out of Melbourne as they make the run down towards Goddard's, towards the final corner here, and side by side we've got Peak and Hartley, and looks like Hartley just pretty much muscled his way to the apex there over at Goddard's. He's going to hold on to second position, and that gives John Allen at least a brief respite there, a little bit of breathing room as they come down through the first corner, down through Redgate, and start it all over again.
After all that, the lap charts look like nothing ever happened.
No.
When really it was a swap for the lead, it was a swap for second and third, and then we're right back to where we started from.
You know, and it was all precipitated when John Allen went off coming out of McLean's that just got him all bunched back up again. But they're back to where they were pretty much a minute and 45 seconds ago as they now start to make their way. And here we go again, coming through McLean's. John Allen slightly bit more tidy there.
That's the fast line. If you just get your left tires touching the grass just past the exit curbing, that's the fast way around that one. You can see he's got a pretty good run even then through Coppice, which is not an easy corner at all because it is a blind crest you kind of go around. But able to get a good run for one more straightaway, holding back Mitchell Peak. But it was this point right here, going through the S's, where Peak had the run of his life last lap. Wasn't able to make it stick, though. Makes me wonder if, did he show his hand? Is that's the move now that John Allen's going to look for?
Well, and look this as we look back behind John Allen as Hartley now starting to take the advance, or starting to take the charge to the 56 machine as he came down side by side with the 56 going into Melbourne. Could not get quite close enough, and now you can see, Larry, a very distinct change in the driving style of Mitchell Peak. He's now getting very defensive.
Yes, you can see him right there making that dodge over. He held the middle of the track as long as he could, and then when they finally got to the braking zone, dove back to the braking on the right side of the track, trying to make sure that there's no advantage given to Hartley behind him. And Hartley now is going to really fight to get by one. Oh, there, but maybe not.
Maybe not, as Peak goes wide coming out of turn one, coming out of Redgate, and now side by side no longer, as Robert Hartley takes over second position from Mitchell Peak. And Larry looking very similar to what we saw in race one, and I think at the exact same place as they come through here. Now Hartley with about 2.5 car lengths that he's got to make up on our leader John Allen as the clock starts to tick away. Only 5 minutes remaining here, so probably around 5, maybe about 4 or 5 laps remaining here in race number 2, round number 7 of the Classic Sprint Series at Donington Park. And now you can see Hartley. Look at the ground that Hartley made up in just 2 corners there, Larry.
He's very good around that Coppice corner, getting this run down. It's a very critical corner to hit because Starkey Straight is essentially the longest true straight on the track, where the fast entry really helps you a lot if you can get a run off of Coppice and then through the chicane. And again, putting further daylight behind them to Peak. This is turning into a 2-car show here with Hartley and Allen. And I don't think Hartley's done. I think Hartley definitely feels like he's just ready to pounce now with about, I want to say probably maybe 2 laps to go. It's going to be close if they get a 3rd lap, but I think we might be looking at 2 laps. It's going to be close. But it's going to be tough if he doesn't get that 3rd lap. That means with just 2 laps, he's really going to have to fight for it.
We've got about 3. I thought we had 6 minutes. We've got about four laps, so about 4 minutes, about 3 laps remaining.
That's 3 more times that they get to go through Coppice, 3 more times to the Melbourne hairpin. And so for Hartley, he's got to figure out which one of those becomes the move that he needs to make, unless John Allen does what Mitchell Peak did a moment ago and just make that mistake. I don't know that John Allen's going to do that. I think John Allen's making up for his mistakes here from the penalty he had to serve at the start of the first race, being his biggest one tonight. And I think Hartley now is going to have to really work to get past John Allen. Allen using every bit of pavement plus grass plus everything else between the apexes to keep that momentum going in that MX-5. You can just see him. You just watch dirt kicked up at the apex, at the entry, at the exit. He's just using all of it.
All right, and as they come out of McLean's once again, you can see, and Allen getting into the grass, getting his rear end a little loose there. And Hartley now, you can see it.
Yep, watch Hartley's run.
Try and sneak right underneath them as they come through Compass and make the run down towards the S's. Remember, just a lap ago, or a couple laps ago, Peak had a great run compared to Allen. Allen comes all the way down center of track to hold off the number 3 machine as they go through the S's. And you can see Hartley backed out of it a little bit, I think, to try and get a run coming down into Melbourne, coming down into the first of the 2 chicanes that finish up a lap here. And as they come in now, John Allen comes down to the inside, gets defensive. It's going to push him wide on exit, and Hartley comes right back up to his rear bumper as they come out of Melbourne, making their way down the Goddards. Allen once again going to have to hold him off from the inside. That means he's probably not going to get a great run out of the corner. Is Hartley going to be able to do anything about it as they come now onto the front straight? And
watch Hartley now. If he can take this outside line, that puts him on the inside as they go down the hill through Craner Corner. If he can hold it. If he can, doesn't look like he's going to be able to under braking there, but maybe trying to get a run off of this to put him alongside. As we should now have 2 laps to go, this is going to be tough. He's got to make that move, and I think he's sensing opportunities. He just hasn't been able to make it stick. I was really surprised he didn't try to make the move into the S's after getting that great run off of Compass last lap. That might have been his best chance. Right now, he's just got to try and force errors in John Allen, and John Allen's making them, but he's not able to capitalize for Hartley.
Yeah, I think that's probably the big difference that we're seeing between John Allen and what we saw from Mitchell Peak, both in race 1 and race 2, is that Allen's been able to recover from some of his mistakes maybe a little bit more quickly than Peak here, as we saw just a lap ago. As they come up, and this is a critical corner here that Allen has had some issues with, and as they come through Compass, Allen, he's
going to stay defensive again. He's going to try and stay middle of the track and keep Hartley from going alongside. Hartley, though, last time moved right. Does he move left? Nope. He's going to try one more try to see if he can beat him through the chicane.
As they come through, and you can see here under braking every time going into the S's, Hartley gets out of the throttle maybe a little bit earlier than John Allen. He drops back, and you expect that he's trying to make that run coming down into Melbourne, and it just doesn't seem to materialize here as they make their way out. And you can see the rear end of John Allen's 101 machine stepping out quite a bit on exit, trying to get that power down, making it a little bit more difficult for him. And but this time he's got enough of a gap coming through Goddards, coming through the last corner, that he's able to take a more traditional entry, able to carry more speed onto the front straight as the white flag is in the air on the very last lap here from Donington Park, as we've got Robert Hartley still all over the back of John Allen. Sitting a little bit further back is Mitchell Peak, currently sitting in third. He hasn't fallen away, but he's got a pretty comfortable 10-second lead over Mike Dam right now, as our leaders now make their way down the hill, down through the Craner curves, and through the old hairpin, one of these high-speed corners, really difficult. Saw it at the wheel there. You can see Hartley gathers it back up as they come up the hill and up through Starkey's as they come under. They already came under that gantry, and now through McLean's, the corner that's given John Allen trouble.
This is definitely where he's had trouble, and watch this next corner, because this is, I think, for Hartley, his best chance is going to be getting a run off a Compass and try to get to the inside down Starkey Straight before they go to the S's, and see if John Allen protects by staying left as long as he can. He's going to stay there middle of the track.
Yeah, he's going to force Hartley wide, and now Hartley tries. He thinks about coming down driver's left for a moment there. Thinks much better of it, and John Allen, with only 2 corners to go, he's got a half a car length advantage now over Robert Hartley. Time is running out for the number 3 machine as they come down into Melbourne, into the first of the 2 final hairpins now. Hartley making his way up, still stuck right behind the 101 machine. He's going to have to take probably a last-second lunge. That run down to the start-finish line coming out of this last hairpin, very short. And as they come out, you could see Hartley move to the inside for a moment there, but taking the win in round number 7, it is John Allen, makes his way back up through the field, takes the win. Robert Hartley, our winner from race 1 tonight, will finish in 2nd, finishing in 3rd. Mitchell Peak with Mike Dam crossing the line in 4th. As we jump back now A little bit further back in the pack, taking a look at Brennan Horn in that number 45 machine right behind his teammate Jordy Fike. Brennan Horn is going to take the win in the open category, finishing 7th overall, made up 10 positions, started at the very tail end of the field. And then Greg Brockway, who started on the pole in the number 62 machine, he is going to finish 2nd in the open class, finishing 10th overall, losing 9 positions overall during the race. Michael Key right behind will finish in 3rd in the open class. Edgar Sancinelli will finish right off the podium in 4th.
Wow, what a tremendous finish there. By the way, great recovery there for Brennan Horn to come back and finish with a win in the SD Open class. I want to make sure that we give him his due. It's a great drive for him, finishing right there behind his teammate Jordy Fike there for 6th overall. But what a race at the end here for Robert Hartley and for John Allen. Hartley gave Allen everything he could handle, and John Allen handled all of it. Great driving, defensive where he needed to be, executed corner exit where he needed to, and just a fantastic run for John Allen in that race. And for all 3 of these guys, with Peak, Allen, and Hartley, just a great race here in race number 2 tonight.
Absolutely. All right. So again, Allen, your winner in race number 2. Hartley finishing 2nd. Peak finishing in 3rd. That is your pro class podium. Brennan Horn with Greg Brockway and Michael Key, your open category podium. So what we're going to do, we're going to take another quick break, Larry, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to some of our finishers. You have been watching round 6 and 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics at Donington Park, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here from Donington Park. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry McLeod. We've just watched round 6 and round 7 of the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. And Larry, our MX-5 drivers, they did not disappoint.
Not in any way was this at all disappointing. Great drives front to the bottom of the field. Lots of great battles all around. The SD Open class was incredible for both races, with Nick Parsoneau and Brennan Horn taking those wins. But the front of these 2 fields, so these 2 races in both races, just tremendous, right down to the wire in both races. It was watching them calculate their opportunities and execute on both ways. It was just tremendous racing tonight here at Donington.
All right, so Larry, we've got now John Allen, driver of the number 101 Defined AutoWorks machine. He took the win in race number 2. Let's talk to him.
All right, we've got our race 2 winner, John Allen. And John, let's start with the lows of tonight. So a little bit of a jump at the start there, put you down and made you have to come back after a bit of a penalty there in the first race. But you salvaged something to come back into a top 10, but it sets you up for the second race. So tell me about how that all went for you.
Well, yeah, that was, it wasn't a jump in the sense that I left before the leader, but it was a good enough jump that I passed someone before the start finish, plus kind of working that margin in the middle. So hard to turn those down. As many times they tell you in the driver's meeting, when you finally get a start like that, it's really hard to remember. Yeah. So, after the drive-through, my goal was to get back on the front row for the second race, and I had gotten there, in fact, to 9th, and figured that's where I'd be. And then there was a tangle in front of me involving 2 or 3 cars. So at that point, I thought, well, maybe there's one more I can get. I almost got to where I was before receiving the penalty, just didn't quite make it there. And then on the second, I couldn't tell how much, damage I might have had from something that happened mid-race in that pack. So I was looking at my end of race laps compared to the leaders from race 1, I thought I'm going to have nothing for him. But I think I had a little more nose damage than I realized, and had enough pace to play defense the second race on the restart. And that's where the real world stuff really came in handy, trying to be, really hard but fair defending, and because I certainly didn't save my tires. It was also experience driving tires that hate me, and it worked out. So
Yeah, as
I'm
we were
thrilled.
watching those laps, the last couple laps unfold there, it seemed that you weren't necessarily making clean laps, but you weren't completely throwing it away either. You were leaving just enough to make sure that Robert couldn't get by you. I mean, did any one of those feel like this is it? This is the one he's going to go by me?
I actually, I mean, I saw him biding his time early on, with that double draft. Mitchell made, a couple pushes early, and then I think he even decided, well, I'll save my tires and get him at the end. And I think he may have been able to, but then he made a couple tricks to the grass, which made Rob's pass easier. And that took away my initial hope was Rob will wait, try and get Mitch, and then they'll duke it out. I'll have enough of a gap, maybe that gives me some breathing room. But instead, it was just a trade places, and now Rob's all over me. So I think that he had great tires to go for it, and I just had to be as defensive as I felt was fair. And I made a couple mistakes myself, but thankfully did them, kind of maybe missing apexes on very slow turns where it didn't matter as much. So I thought on the last lap he had every right to try it in the chicane, and he opted not to. And I just got a good enough run through there to avoid any other late attempts.
Yeah, just tremendous racing all around to get back into the top 10 for the second race, and then be able to execute that and take away this win. Great racing, and like you said, the real world sometimes leads back into the virtual world, and vice versa for you. So great win tonight. Anybody you want to thank for tonight's performance?
I just saw, I'm not sure which livery is showing up tonight, but if it's the Defined Auto Works livery, I just was at Mid-Ohio with my buddy Logan, whose company that is, over the weekend, and had a good time catching up. So really glad to be able to put this up front. And if it happens to be the Brewdog livery, I'm going to go enjoy one now. So either way, shout out to the sponsors.
It's the right sponsor tonight. It's the Defined
All right,
Auto Works.
fantastic.
Good.
Well, I'm still having a Brewdog, so you guys have a good night.
All right, John. Thanks a lot. Congratulations on the win again.
Thanks a lot.
All right, there you go. That was John Allen, driver of the number 101 Defined Auto Works, or maybe Brewdog, entry. We will figure it out. Actually, we know it's the Defined Auto Works entry. Thanks for joining us, John. Really appreciate it. And Larry, I'm not seeing anybody else in the green room to drag in here. We'll give our drivers a few more seconds to pop in before we start to wrap things up here. I think that this perhaps was perhaps the most exciting round that we've seen so far in the Classic Sprint Series, and I think these 30-minute sprint races really fit the format and fit these MX-5 cars very, very well, and I mean certainly here at Donington it was a great sight to see, and we'll go down and run the schedule down for the different Ricmotech series here in just a few moments. But certainly as we head to Alton Park and Imola for the last two rounds of the Classic Sprint Series, and as things start to tighten up here a little bit in the points, I've been so enthralled by this series throughout the course of the season so far.
Yeah, I think the double sprint race is a great format, but I really think this Donington track just races so well because of the types of the corners that we've got here. And like you said, it races really well and matches up well with the MX-5 platform, which is why we've had such an exciting season so far. And we're not done yet, but this has just been great racing in this MX-5 Cup. And I think we're going to have quite the points battle coming up to the end here. As Hartley had himself a couple of good finishes tonight. Peak was right there. He came in with the points lead, but John Allen might be making a bit of a push here. So I'm excited the way this whole series has kind of played out. I think having the mixture too of sprints versus the long form lets everyone with different strengths play to each other, and I think it's a great series so far.
Yeah, all right, Larry. So looks like we have somebody down and waiting for us, and he had one heck of an evening. Let's bring in Robert Hartley. Robert, driver of the number 3 Orion Racing entry, who finished first in our first race and finished second in race number 2.
We've got Robert Hartley. And Rob, I want to talk about that first race and the strategy that you were executing there behind Mitchell as you kind of waited till about 25 minutes into the race to make your move there. How much of that is calculation and how much of that is just opportunity?
Oh yeah. From the start of the green flag, I was saving tires, just watching them run. So
Let him
yeah, I
sit out in
had that
front,
all
burn his
planned to
tires
wait
up.
to the end.
Yeah, that's always a good thing to watch your competitor sit there out in front and burn tires and leave you with a little bit. But when you came into the second race, now you're starting back in that 10th position. You've got a lot of field to get through. We had the mayhem early on, and did you think you still had a shot to get up at the front of the field before it was over?
Yeah, Mitchell got up to about 2 seconds ahead of me after that mayhem happened, and so I had to put my head down and drive a fast lap to get back in touch with them guys. But once I caught them, I kind of did the same little plan, just waited until I could make my move, and Mitchell made a little mistake. It's hard to make it from third. If you're second, it's a lot easier, but from third, it's just hard to get into second. So
Yeah, well, Mitchell did make it a little easier on you by that off there he had at turn one, but you still had to make a run at or attempt to make runs at John Allen, and it seemed like you were throwing the kitchen sink, but you're holding back a little bit. Even we just talked to John; he was thinking maybe you'd try and make a move going into the S's there on one of those last two laps. Were you thinking about that was the move to make, or were you still trying to calculate one?
I've raced a lot of races with John, and I know we could have made it work, but that's kind of treacherous, and I didn't want to ruin both our races, so I didn't make
very,
that.
very true.
I didn't make that dive, but I was hoping he'd kind of lose a little bit on exit, and I could make a dive into the next corner, but didn't work out. John had just enough tire to hold me off there.
Yeah, he's definitely he held on just enough to be able to take on that win. But for you, you get the win in the first race, second in the second race, max points virtually for you here tonight after a couple of weeks off. So we think it's been a great year, great run for you here tonight. Anybody you want to thank for tonight's performance?
I'd just like to thank all the guys we race with. It makes it a lot of fun out there when we can run close like this and have 60 minutes of good racing. But I'd like to thank all the admins and y'all for putting the broadcast on for us.
No, thank you. And it's a pleasure calling these races when you make them exciting as you guys did tonight. So thanks, Rob, and we'll definitely see you in the next round.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, there you go. That was Robert Hartley, driver of the number 3 Orion Racing entry, took the win in round number 6, our first race tonight, and finished second in round number 7, the race that just concluded. So, Larry, as we wrap things up here, let's take a quick look at the different races that we have coming up across our different Ricmotech series. Now, we do have next Monday night off as we're celebrating Labor Day here in the United States, but we will return in 2 weeks, Monday night, September 13th, for round number 2 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. It's going to be at Detroit Belle Isle, Larry's backyard. We're going to have the LMP2 cars as well as our GT3 cars, and I believe what we're going to be doing is I think we're going to have 2 races that night. I believe we're going to have the LMP2 entries in one race, and the GT3s will have the track to themselves. So that is in 2 weeks. Then in 3 weeks, the Classic Sprint Series, our MX-5 drivers, they return. They're going to stay in the UK. We're going to be heading about 75 miles to the northwest to Alton Park, and it should be a great run there. We'll see if the drivers can make their way up the A50 as well as they did around Donington Park here tonight. And then just about a month from now, rounds 5 and 6 of the brand new Lambeau Trophy Series, that is going to be at Road America in Elkhart Lake, and that should be a great circuit for those GT3 cars, our fixed setup series for the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evos. So definitely make sure to join us then. And of course, if you want to find out more information about all of the different Ricmotech series, head on over to Extreme Motorsports 99. That's Extreme with an X, extrememotorsports99.com to find out information about all these different series. So for Larry McLeod, for Dennis Branch, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.